We all kind of live our lives in the cloud, right? But what happens when the cloud, well, when it literally tries to move in next door? There's this really surprising conflict brewing in backyards all across America, and it's pitting some of the biggest tech companies in the world against, well, everyday people. And hey, this isn't some abstract online argument. As Andy Cravengros from the real estate firm JLL points out, this resistance is happening right there on the ground. We are talking about old school, grassroots organizing. People going door to door, putting up yard signs, and holding actual protests against the massive buildings that power our digital lives. So, what is it about these giant, super modern buildings that's causing such a huge local backlash? Why are all these communities suddenly saying, not in our backyard, to the very engine that runs the internet? To really get this, we've got to look at what's happening on the ground. This is a totally new kind of local fight. And believe me, it is spreading fast. From these little rural towns in the Midwest to quiet suburbs out on the East Coast, this isn't just a few random incidents. Nope, it's becoming a coordinated national trend. You've got communities learning from each other, sharing tactics, and pushing back against the buildings that store all our data. So what are they actually fighting against? To get to the heart of it, we first need to wrap our heads around the physical reality behind your digital life. Okay, so what is a data center? Let's be clear. It is not some fluffy concept up in the sky. It's a real, absolutely massive, power-guzzling building. The best way to think of it is like a factory for the internet. It's packed with thousands and thousands of servers that run everything you do online, streaming your favorite show, scrolling through social media, and especially powering this crazy explosion in AI. And because of that bottomless demand for AI and data, these places are now being built on a scale we have just never seen before. We're talking about enormous industrial campuses plopped down right next to huge power supplies just to keep the lights on 24/7. And that brings us to the real heart of the issue. For the folks who actually live nearby, the arrival of a data center can come with a whole set of very real and often kind of hidden costs. So residents are worried about the colossal strain on the electrical grid. I mean, these things can use as much power as a small city. They're concerned about the millions of gallons of water they need for cooling, which could literally threaten their own wells. Then you've got the constant industrial hum from the servers and backup generators, the loss of beautiful farmland that's gone forever, and of course, the very real fear that their own property values could just tank. This is the fundamental trade-off right here. On one side, you have the promise of progress, faster digital services, cool new AI for everyone, and all that tech industry growth. But on the other side, you've got the potential price that the local community has to pay. Higher utility bills, huge environmental strain, and a complete change to the whole feel of their town. And what makes it all worse is that a lot of local governments are just completely caught off guard. I mean, their zoning laws were written for a totally different time. They're often completely unprepared for an industrial behemoth like a modern data center to just show up. So this isn't just about some local debates over noise or zoning. No way. This resistance is having a massive, measurable impact on the tech industry's big expansion plans. Just look at this number, $98 billion. Let that sink in for a second. That is the combined value of data center projects that were either completely blocked or seriously delayed in just one 3-month period last year. That is a wild figure, and it shows you the very real financial power of this local opposition. And check this out. According to Data Center Watch, these community campaigns aren't just making noise, they are incredibly effective. A full 2/3 of all the proposals that came up for review in that same quarter hit major roadblocks. Only about a third of them actually went through as planned. And this is no longer just a Silicon Valley or Northern Virginia thing. Oh no, the battleground has now expanded to 11 different states, and a lot of them are in rural areas that are now finding themselves right on the front lines of big tech's physical expansion. So what do the tech giants have to say about all this? Well, publicly, pretty much nothing. Crickets. When asked for a comment, the biggest players, we're talking Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, they all stayed silent. But while they're being all quiet in public, their private government filings tell a totally different story. Microsoft, for instance, explicitly told regulators that this exact kind of community opposition is a real and significant barrier to their future growth. So yeah, they absolutely know this is a huge problem. So, what do we make of all this? When you kind of zoom out, you can see this is really about a fundamental conflict between the relentless, unstoppable pace of technology and the value that we all put on a place, on our home. These are not just simple zoning disputes anymore. This has blown up into a nationwide conversation about what our digital future is actually going to look like, and more importantly, who ends up paying the physical price for our virtual world. And that leaves us with a huge question for our time, doesn't it? Our demand for data, for AI, for that seamless cloud experience, it is accelerating faster than ever. So, as we're all racing to build that future, we have to ask, where exactly are we going to build it? And maybe the even bigger question is, who gets to decide?